Hello everyone, I'm Kalen North, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be talking through my hype list for Nature Incarnate. Now, this is going to contain some Nature Incarnate spoilers of stuff that's been revealed in the Backer Kit campaign and in the unboxing video from Greater Than Games and some other stuff. So if you don't want any Nature Incarnate spoilers at all, turn this video off now unless you've already until you get the set yourself. But yeah, Nature Incarnate, we just got an email earlier this week saying that we're going to be having it start shipping, at least in the US, on June 19th. I'm not sure in Europe, but it sounds like at least the game expansion itself has reached the distributor there, so hopefully starting soon as well for them. But I'm very excited about this. I plan to try and walk through a lot of the new content on the channel at some point after it comes out. And I just thought I'd start out by going through, with the 8 spirits and 20 aspects in it, what I'm most excited for. So, in reverse order, so starting with what I'm least excited about and going to most excited to play with, let's get through it. Least excited, Lair Lure. Now, I know this is probably going to sound like, heresy to some of you who really love Lure, but my biggest complaint here about Lair Lure is that I just haven't played enough base Lure yet. And I really enjoy playing Lure, and so I'm not super excited about the aspect yet because I'm still having fun with the base spirit. Now, that's going to be sort of a repeating bias for a number of these, as I don't think Lair really needs any big changes in order to still be fun and still be pretty powerful. But we'll see how this goes. Anyway, Lair Lure is going to do some cool things. It adds an Incarna. We knew it was one of the Incarna spirits. We're going to be doing a lot to stop Explorers and Dahan from participating in Ravages at the Incarna. We stop things from moving at the Incarna. We can move the Incarna itself with our growth option, but it downgrades towns and cities. It gathers Explorers, towns, and Dahan. And then it does something mysterious. There's a full version that got spoiled, which has been confirmed to not be quite accurate. But presumably it does something to gather in more invaders. So that's Lair Lure. I'm not super enthused about this one, but mostly because I just want to have more fun with base Lure before I actually start playing with the aspect. So this is going to be the last thing I try with the new Nature Incarnate expansion, most likely. Next up, Intensify Memory. We don't know much about this aspect, but strengthen your powers by tapping into past memories. This is one where, again, memory is a spirit that I just don't have the same degree of experience with, and so I'm less enthused about its aspects. This is going to come up again when we talk about Mentor in a moment. Spoilers. But I just... There's enough for me to explore still with the base spirit of memory that I'm not super enthused about the aspects. I think that memory is one of my less favorite spirits, so this might change when I see what the aspects look like, because I might have a lot more fun with it with the aspect than I do with just the base spirit. So then coming to what I just sort of hinted at, here's Mentor Memory next to 26th. Now, Mentor Memory, I really like Past Teaching Springforth Unbidden, where you draw 2 fewer cards and gain 1 more than normally. So normally draw 2 and gain both. This is a really cool one, I think. But I don't know that I'm going to be the person it's meant for, just because I don't really know what those second and third ability and share mentorship and expertise is going to do. Putting power cards into other players' hands is really cool, and so I think that there's a lot of potential for fun with this one. But I just, without knowing more about it and without having played base memory enough, I don't think that it's going to be quite as exciting for me. Next up, I've got Encircle Fangs. Predators lay in wait surrounding their prey. This is one that could jump way higher for me, depending on what it actually does. I love Fangs dearly, and I'm maybe worried about the aspects. We'll talk about Unconstrained in a little while, but the aspects to me for Fangs almost seem unnecessary just because Fangs is such an interesting and powerful spirit as it is. And so Encircle, if it produces a fun tactical puzzle, I'm going to love it probably. And if it doesn't produce a fun tactical puzzle, I'm probably just going to play base Fangs. So that's a bit of a potential. It's got a lot of potential for me, but it is right now a little lower. Next up is the first brand new spirit from the list, is Towering Roots of the Jungle. Now, Towering Roots of the Jungle is, I think, cool, but it just doesn't enthuse me as much as I just am not as enthused about it as I am about a lot of the other content in Nature Incarnate. The Vitality tokens are interesting. It's nice that they're adding that into the game finally. And the Incarnate spirits, I think, are really cool. But I just... This one, nothing about it jumps out at me as being so incredibly awesome the way that some of the other spirits do. And so it's one where I'm sure I'm going to have fun with it, but I don't see that. It doesn't spring to mind as to how I'm going to be having fun with it yet. But I am still looking forward to seeing it. If nothing else, being able to see Gather up to one city on another spirit that isn't Finder is really cool. So that's kind of fun. Next up, Unconstrained Fangs. We talked about this a little bit on Encircle Fangs. Your beasts roam wherever they find prey. This is one that is less likely to jump up than Encircle Fangs, just because we know, I think, all of it. Unless there's something that's going to change between what was spoiled in the backer kit and what actually gets printed. But the ability to get extra beasts without converting presence is kind of cool. But on the flip side, you're probably going to get a lot less beasts as a result. Makes it seem like this is not going to have the same explosive starts that I love Fangs for. And at the same time, it is going to make the spirit simpler and probably more fun, I think, to pass to someone else at my table, where I can say, all right, here's this cool beast spirit, and you don't have to worry about the blight restrictions. Not that they would necessarily know about that if they're relatively new, but it is something where I think it'll be fun for a variant on Fangs, but it's probably not going to replace default Fangs as one of my go-tos for spirits. Next up, Spreading Hostility Keeper. Punish the invaders for trespassing in your lands. This one's maybe almost too high on the list. I mean, Keeper can be a fun spirit. It's nice and powerful, but punishing the invaders for trespassing in your lands is kind of what Hostility, or is kind of what base Keeper already does. And so I'm not really sure what this aspect is going to do to change Keeper up, but focusing more on damage in your own lands doesn't seem to me like it's going to be that much more interesting than base Keeper. I could be wrong on that. It might be really fun, but for the time being, it gets to be pretty low on the list just because I need to know more about it. I'm not as hyped about it just yet. Next up, at 21st, we've got Regrowth Green. Your destroyed presence shall return to the land. Much like with Spreading Hostility Keeper, this is kind of a thing that I already do with Green, is I can grow with my destroyed presence if I want. And I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work, but if you're getting more destroyed presence back than base Green does, it could be really fun for getting Green's special rule going, where you can just stop all of the builds and ravages. But at the same time, it doesn't enthuse me the way that I would like it to, where I don't know what this is that isn't something Green already does. So I'm hoping to see more from it, and again, this could jump way up my list depending on what the actual card says. Next up is Tangles Green. Wilds tear down the invaders' buildings. Now this one I'm actually a lot more excited about. There's actually quite a bit of a jump here from 21 to 20. Is Tangles Green, we don't know too much about. I think there's possibly a screenshot of one of the power cards that it potentially adds to Green's hand, or replaces in Green's hand. But this idea of basically being able to go and actually be more offensive with green, tearing down buildings, which green already does, but being able to do it with wilds, maybe in more of a keeper style, is actually really interesting to me. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be a fun one, but I just don't know enough about it yet, and there's a lot of other stuff that I am very excited about, pretty much from here on, that is going to be more interesting to me than Tangles Green. Next up, we have our second spirit, Wounded Waters Bleeding. Now, Wounded Waters Bleeding is, I think this is a really interesting one. I'm not sure whether I like the mini game with the idea of starting more powerful or more present on the board, but needing to do a bunch of work to heal your spirit first. But yeah, and certainly like you destroy a presence or forget a power card every turn after your spirit phase is kind of painful. But it is one where I think it could be really interesting to play with, and I'm really intrigued to see how it plays out with once we see all the healing cards and once we see all the power cards for the spirit. Its innate powers are kind of fun. You get to do some more pushing, some good control. You get to do some damage with Sanguinary Taint. But this is, again, one where I'm not sure yet how it's going to play out, and I really want to see more before I get too excited about it. So, I am more about like out of the gate spirits, or going fast out of the gate, and this is, I think, going to be a very slow build up, becomes very powerful spirit. So we'll see what it looks like once we actually can play with it. Next up, Haven River. I love River dearly, and this is the first spirit I played, and still one of my favorites. And losing Massive Flooding is terrifying to me, but at the same time, I also love being able to defend and do counterattacks with Dahan. And so this Haven ability looks really cool. I'm curious a little bit about what is going to be going on with that last ability that's blanked out on the spoiler. But just being able to get multiple land defense, being able to gather Dahan in the fast phase is really nice. It's going to be able to set up some really cool defenses, I think. It probably will change out how we build River as well, because wanting to get E to be at least 2 means having to actually go for your top track, which normally is not something I do when I'm playing base River or even travel River. So I think this is going to be pretty interesting. I think it's going to be a more interesting variant on Sunshine, where you're trying to force the player to do more with their energy track than River is normally going to do. But I'm not sure how well that's going to work out in practice, but I look forward to finding out. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun to actually try and see what happens. Next up, Locus Serpent. Now, this is another one where we only really have a sentence. Focus the island spirits on the place of your stirring slumber. I don't know what that means, but I'm excited about it. It's one of those where I love Serpent a lot, and I think that this idea of the sort of the mini game that everyone gets to play, I really enjoy that about spirits like Ocean's Hungry Grasp, where suddenly the oceans are in play now and push powers turn into destroys on the coast. But so this idea of focusing the other spirits to actually be involved in this mini game with Locus is going to be, I hope, fun. We'll see how that goes. I think that for some people that comparison might actually be a bad one, just because I think a lot of people dislike Ocean in especially higher player count games for kind of warping things too much. But I do enjoy that type of gameplay, and I'm excited to see what this one can do. Next up, Warrior Thunderspeaker. I love Dahan Insurrection. I've been saying I love a lot of things recently, but Dahan Insurrection is one of my favorite scenarios. I've played way too much of it, usually with a level 6 adversary tacked on. because of the achievement in the Steam version from Handelabra. But I really like the... how do I put it? I just love the idea of the Dahan being able to deal damage when they move, and the warrior being able to sort of just do that, even at the cost of losing Manifestation of Power and Glory and getting the smaller energy and card plays per turn. I'm just really excited about seeing what this can do as far as running around, sniping explorers, moving hordes of Dahan around, and trying to just, gather a bunch of Dahan in separate actions into one land and blow up buildings with it. I think it could be really cool. I like that extra sun element on there. I think that's really going to be nice as far as helping us blow up buildings with Thunderspeaker. I don't know what the right third or so of the card is going to be, and I'm excited to see it as well. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm really enthused about Warrior Thunderspeaker. I think this is going to be a fun one. Next up, Tactician Thunderspeaker. Now, this may just be the unknown being more appealing than the known in some ways, but I am more excited about Tactician Thunderspeaker than Warrior Thunderspeaker. I don't know what Prepare for the Invaders in Advance means, but the idea of having perhaps an even more tactical Thunderspeaker somehow sounds really fun. And I don't know if it's going to be things like, stop Dahan, or maybe an innate that stops them from exploring into lands with 2 or more Dahan, or something that lets you do extra things to, if you get the Dahan arranged around the invaders in some particular fashion, you can do something fun with them. But whatever it is, it seems really interesting to me to make Thunderspeaker's puzzle more fun. And hopefully this one we get to keep Manifestation, but we'll find out. It seems like it could be a lot of fun, though. I do like Thunderspeaker a lot, and I'm looking forward to both these aspects. Next up, Nourishing Earth. Revitalize the Earth, the Dahan, and yourself. This is another one where I have very limited information, as in no information beyond that sentence that I just read. But I really do enjoy Earth as a spirit, and I really want them to be better than they are. And so this is one where I'm hopeful that it's going to be another fun aspect like Might, where Earth just gets a whole new dimension to them. And I guess, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than I'm looking forward to trying it. I'm really excited to see what this one is. Next, Stranded Mist. Invaders have lost their way in the ever-shifting mists. This is one where I think this is the highest, of the Jagged Earth aspects, this is the highest one on my list, I believe. And part of that is because I've played Mist a few times, and it never really clicked for me. And some of it is that it feels, I've heard, like, on the Kindred Spirit podcast, them talk about Mist as like walking a tightrope, that if you get a little bit of support, turns into like a balance beam, and or like a road. And it's one of those where Mist is not one I've actually played much in multiplayer. I've mostly tried it out solo. And so I'm curious to see what this can do to buff Mist, such that you don't need the support, hopefully, in order for it to still feel flexible and fun. But I'm just not sure what it's going to look like, but I'm excited to see it, and I'm hoping that it's going to make Mist more fun for me. Next up, Sparking Lightning. Inspiration Strikes. 2 words, and yet I have it higher than half of the things on this list. Reason being, I love lightning. Inspiration Strikes makes me think this is going to do something to let lightning gain more powers. I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to work or what's going to happen with it, but I'm very excited to see what this is and to try it out. I think that of the spirits that have aspects, lightning has probably the most interesting ones so far. Not necessarily the most powerful ones, but in terms of changing up gameplay styles, I think that the lightning aspects we've seen in Jagged Earth and in Promo Pack 2 are really by far more interesting than a lot of the other stuff that's out there. There is, I say that, and maybe some of the Shadows aspects, but Shadows has like 4 aspects, I think, already. And I don't think those change Shadow's gameplay to the degree that Lightning's aspects do. And so I'm really excited to see what this new one is. I'm really excited to try and do something with it and see how it goes. Next up, Transforming Wildfire. The fire is a crucible of change for better and for worse. This is another one where Wildfire, I actually do play a fair amount, and I like Wildfire a lot. And I also think that they have some really big problems that I can't wait to see how this aspect is going to try and address them. I don't really know what to make of the sentence, the fire is a crucible of change for better and for worse, but I am excited to see this aspect. I can't wait to try it out. I think that there's going to be a lot of fun with it, hopefully. My hope is that I don't know exactly what my hope about it is, but my hope is that we're going to see something with like presence movement or presence exchange, trying to do things with that. But we'll see what it is. We'll see how it synergizes with Wildfire's existing abilities and what it gets rid of. So I think that'll be a lot of fun to try. Next up, Hearth-Vigil, another one of the new spirits. This is one that probably could have been higher, but when I made the list, it ended up where it did. I'm really excited about Hearth-Vigil. I don't actually have its setup rule here, but just like even things like it has extra Dahan on its board is a cool thing. I really like that it gives the Dahan extra health. I like its innate powers. I'm intrigued by its tracks, although I don't know that I have as much to say about them. I mainly, I guess, the gather a Dahan into one of your lands thing, where it's going to be able to create, hopefully, these big armies of Dahan to just do counterattacks and defense with. And I can't wait to see how this one plays out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but it doesn't spring up quite as much excitement for me as some of the other spirits do, which we're going to be getting into a lot of them soon here. Especially the Incarnate ones. But I think Hearth-Vigil is going to be a lot of fun to play with. I can't wait to pair them with Thunderspeaker, although who knows how synergistic or unsynergistic that's going to be. It's probably going to be pretty good, getting extra Dahan and like being able to help the Dahan out. But we'll see how that one plays out. I'm looking forward to it. Next up, Ember-Eyed Behemoth, the big stomper. I'm really excited about this one as well. This is going to be a lot of fun, I think, where we're going to be able to have the Incarnate token out. We're going to be able to deal tons of damage at the Incarnate. I do enjoy just these big offensive stompy spirits, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know exactly how it's going to work out. But it does seem like this is going to be, how do I put it? This is I think going to be a very fun spirit to play, and one that I'm excited about giving to newer players, because I think that it's going to be simple enough that they're going to be able to pick up on it, even though there's a lot of complexity in some of the rules. But I think that there's nothing too crazy going on in here. And it's just going to be a blast to play with. Next up, something that's way less simple, Dances Up Earthquakes. I'm really excited about what this one has for potential in terms of its minigame. I just really need to see what its hand looks like and try and get some sense of what it can do. From what I've seen, it looks like this spirit's going to be crazy powerful, but I just don't have a great sense of I don't have a great sense yet of how it's going to do in terms of like standard openings versus having lots of variety of openings. I think that if it has a lot of variety of openings, if there's like times when I want to go for that 2 energy on each impending card near the end of the energy track versus wanting to go super fast down the bottom track to get lots of card plays to impend lots of things, you know, it's gonna be a lot of fun, I think, to play with, but it is gonna also be a headache, at least at first. And so I'm not as excited about it as I am about a couple of the other spirits above it, but it is definitely going to be really cool, I think. Next up, Wandering Voice Keen's Delirium. This is one that I'm really excited about. I think that a pattern you're going to notice coming up in the near future here with my top few spirits and aspects is that I'm really a big fan of fear spirits. And I don't think even I was really as like aware of that until I made this list and I looked at the top few and I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of fear spirits at the top of this list. But this one is, I think, going to be really cool, where you're going to be able to do all of this strife that you're adding. You're going to get to play with the Incarnate and move it around a bunch with Inscrutable Journeying. You're going to generate a bunch of fear and be able to potentially blow up a lot of stuff with Mind-Shattering Song. I'm really hesitant about the like causing Dahan to not participate in Ravage. I don't know if I'm not sure if that's going to be really good or really bad. It seems like it's likely to be less good just because it only triggers when Strife is already present. But I think it could be really cool. It might be just a different way to play with Strife and a different way to actually use that token. That's going to be interesting to see. I also worry that it's just going to mean my Dahan don't do enough, and I'm going to just feel disappointed on that periodically. So, but I do like it a lot. I think it's going to be a fun spirit. Anyone with a Reclaim 1 is probably going to be good, so we'll see. Next up, Relentless Gaze of the Sun. This thing repeats powers. I really like that. I'm really excited about adding Destroyed Presence. I'm really excited about repeating the powers, as I said. I like the idea that it has these two different directions it can sort of go, where it can either try and be more harmonious or it can try and be more just offensive. But I really want to see what this one does with its power cards, and I really want to try and repeat lots of things with it. I love the pressure to try and get piles of at least 3 presents that this one adds. Is one of the things I love about Volcano, if I can bring up another spirit, is this idea that, oh, well, these stacks of 3 or more presents are really cool, and they give you extra range. And so there's this bonus for going beyond a sacred site that most spirits don't ever bother to do. And so I'm very excited to see how that goes, and very excited to give this one a try. Next up, we've got another aspect. We have 4 words for this, and yet it is number 5 on my list. Enticing BoDaN, Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. More dreams, fewer nightmares. Goodness, do I like fear spirits. Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares, I think when I first opened a Spirit Island box, my cousin's copy, for the first time ever, Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares immediately stood out to me as the coolest themed spirit. And I didn't understand what it did. I didn't understand its special rule. I didn't have any clue how to play it. And I in fact didn't play it for quite some time, even after opening Spirit Island the first time. But Bringer has been one of my favorite spirits, and I'm really excited to see it get aspects. I don't have any clue what it's going to do, but I am really looking forward to finding out. I think it could be a lot of fun to try and have a Bringer that does other things. And, you know, more dreams, fewer nightmares, sure. That'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe that's going to let us, you know, stop things from ravaging or add defense or who knows what. But it should be fun to play with and see what happens. Next up, Deep's Ocean. Return the island to the deeps, one land at a time. I don't think I've talked to anyone who isn't excited about this aspect. Just this idea of being able to permanently add to the ocean and create new coastal lands and just eat away at the island is just such a cool thing that, I mean, goodness, they like this enough that they were willing to make an entire new token type for it. So I'm very, very hyped about this spirit, or this aspect rather. I can't wait to see the rest of the cards, of the aspect cards, to see what else we get to do with this spirit. But even as it is, just with what's on there, I cannot wait to try this one out. This is one of my favorite things from the new expansion, I think. Well, it's fourth on my list. It is in my top 4. So yeah. But Deep's Ocean, I think, is going to be really cool to play. I cannot wait to accidentally shoot myself in the foot with it by making something coastal when I shouldn't have, and thinking I had a clear inland when suddenly everything is coastal now and there's explorers everywhere. But it's going to be fun anyway. Next up, Violence, Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. Fill their dreams with your unbridled wrath. I talked a lot about my excitement about Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares on Enticing, and this one, I can't wait to see what this does. I have no idea what this is going to be doing. I just from the idea of adding this aspect to Bringer, where it's the spirit that doesn't damage anything. How can it commit violence? I can't wait to find out. I think this is going to be a blast to play. I really hope it is. I may be disappointed, but I do not care at this point. I am just way too hyped about this aspect. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Next up, Darkfire Shadows, another aspect that we sort of inadvertently got spoiled from the Greater Than Games unboxing video. Got this picture from Discord. Someone tried to set up a more legible version than the screen grab from the video. So this is not what the actual card looks like, although I believe the text should be correct. I've actually played a game with Darkfire Shadows already. I proxied it up and played it on table, or just on physical, and gave it a try, and it was fun. I really like it. You can stay on one card play for a little longer and still hit your innate power. You can use Concealing Shadows in lands, and then you get to push the presence instead of getting it destroyed by the Ravage. It's got everything I like about power, or about innates, like, or not innates, aspects like Amorphous, and yet it's got so much more flexibility and power, and I really like it. I'm very excited to play with it again. I love Shadows Flicker Like Flame. I think it's not the strongest spirit by any means, and in fact one of the weakest spirits, but I think that this gives it a real buff that is, if not enough to make it like ridiculously good, at least make it ridiculously fun. So I'm very excited about Darkfire Shadows. And now at the top of my list, if you've been keeping track, you know there's only one thing left. Breath of Darkness Down Your Spine. Oh my goodness, am I excited about this spirit. Ever since it got revealed on the backer kit, this has been the thing I am most excited about from Nature Incarnate by a good margin. I love the Invader Abduction minigame. I love the Endless Dark. I even love all the rules questions and arguments about, wait, does that work? No, it doesn't. Yes, it does, because of the Endless Dark being confusing. I cannot wait to see how this goes. As far as abducting things, as far as generating fear and doing all sorts of craziness with that. I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it once I've got all these pieces escaping the Endless Dark, but I'm excited to fill it up in the first place and see what I can do with that. So I think this spirit is going to be a ton of fun to play, and I'm just so looking forward to it. All right. With that, Nature Incarnate starts shipping June 19th, at least in the US. thanks for watching, and I hope you're looking forward to this expansion as much as I am. I'm planning to do some number of videos after it comes out, giving first impressions of all the new content. I know some of the content has been fully spoiled. I haven't seen all the spoilers myself. I've been trying to avoid things on the adversary, for example. So I'm going to try and get some first impressions videos for that, for the new spirits, for the new aspects, all of that going sometime probably in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how long it takes the product to actually get here. So but yeah, thanks for watching, and let's get hyped. Thanks for watching.